Good evening, everyone. My name is Vibha, and I help startups build and scale on Google Cloud. In my everyday day-to-day interactions, I get to speak with lead engineers, development teams, and really get to know the kind of use cases that you guys are building on the ground, some of the tools that you're evaluating, and that gives me a great deal of insights into your experiences and the sort of capabilities you're looking for, right? So yeah, I hope in this presentation, basically I'm trying to walk you through some of the latest of Google's innovation, especially on the AI side of things, right? So yeah, before we begin, I'll get the quick mandatory speaker introduction out of the way. My name is Vibha and I'm a customer engineer at Google Cloud. Basically work in the early stage startups team. So get to talk with startups on a day-to-day basis. Been at Google for a little over 3 years, working with both startups and enterprises. I also have my colleague with me, Rushi. That's Rishi. Yeah, he is also a part of the same team as me, the early stage startups team, and he does cover startups that are based in Texas. So, any use cases, anything that you want to talk about, and if you're part of the program, you most likely might be talking to Rishi. So, yeah. Coming back to sort of those day-to-day conversations, some of the recurrent themes that keeps coming up is sometimes when I talk to ML engineers, it's about, hey, how do we sort of streamline our ML ops operations? When we speak to developers, it's like, hey, for the different use cases, which is the right model, right? And sort of finding that balance between performance as well as cost, because we know that cost can be very important for startups. And also when we sort of create those chatbots and agents, sort of making sure that the responses that are generated are actually factual and are grounded, right? So all these sort of challenges that we see, it would be great to have a sort of like unified AI platform that sort of forms the foundation of all these challenges, right? And that's where Vertex AI enters the picture. So Vertex AI was sort of aimed to be this unified ML platform, basically helping people develop, scale, and deploy their ML models as well as AI applications. Now, Vertex AI has been around for a while. It's not something that just came up just with the Gen AI hype. It was initially sort of meant to be this one-stop shop ML platform for teams of varying levels of expertise, right? So whether it was like using the ML, readily available ML APIs, to using, your data to create ML models using ML, AutoML, or if you wanted to like create the custom code and build models from scratch, having a sort of managed infrastructure for it, that's where like the collabs and workbench comes into play. So that's where Vertex AI was sort of, aiming to help out. But of course, with the Gen AI models, we also have things to offer on that side of things. And I'll sort of walk you through that, right? First off, model garden. We do realize that there's no one model that is perfect for every use case. And so basically, this is sort of like a one-stop shop for leveraging all models, right? Whether that's Google's first-party models, both Gemini, Imagen, Veo, Lyria, as well as our embedding models, or whether that's partner models. So say, for example, the Claude models from Anthropic, or even open models as well, right? You have the option of like sort of self-hosting that on Vertex. So Model Garden gives you all those options. Moving on, we have the live API. Now we do have a bunch of customers who are like, hey, we want to have, we have use cases where we need that voice interaction, a two-way voice interaction. So the live API basically enables like a low latency two-way voice as well as video interactions with Gemini. And it also sort of lets you sort of interact with the model, and you can interrupt the model using your voice commands, right? So sort of simulating a very human-like conversation. Then we move on to global endpoints. Now, a lot of Google and partner models, which are available on Vertex AI, they're sort of exposed as regional endpoints. And so the aim with global endpoints is to sort of cover the entire world and provide higher availability. I'm sure a lot of you might be familiar with like the 429 errors, those pesky little errors. But with global endpoints, you're basically trying to leverage Google's global infrastructure and with that automated capacity aware load balancing so that it sort of evenly distributes requests and it sort of significantly brings down the 4 to 9 errors that you're experiencing, right? It's a small little change in the code. You would just type in global at location and then, yeah, you get to leverage global endpoints. Yes? Also, I just have 10 minutes for my speech, so we can take the question post the thing too, right? Moving on, URL context. Now, this is like an experimental feature. Basically, lets you provide URLs as additional context to your prompt. So basically, once you provide it, it retrieves the content from the URL and it uses that while generating the response, right? So another thing that we've seen customers leveraging. And yeah, moving on, we do sort of realize that with a lot of models to sort of get the behavior that you want out of it, there are a few things that you might have to do. This is sort of like a flowchart from least effort implementation to the most complex implementation. First is, of course, our prompt engineering, the sort of trying to experiment with like, hey, which version of the prompt sort of works best, either like, making the instructions more specific, adding examples. That's where like the one shot and the few shot prompting comes into play, or even, experimenting with the model parameters. So like changing temperature or mod top P or top K. In most cases, some permutation or combination of these changes sort of gets you the results. If that doesn't, then you sort of move on to supervised tuning, right? Or you can also try out like distillation methods. And finally, if you're open for it, a full fine tuning, but we have seen customers do this at least on the open models, right? So yeah, that was a lot about Gemini. We do also have a bunch of like the multimodal models as well. We have Gemini 2.5 Flash Image, Imagen 4, VO3, Chirp, and Lyria 2. So this is, hopefully I can play the video. I promise the video has sound, which I'm not able to play right now. But that is one of the major updates from VO2 to VO3. So with VO3, we're now able to create videos along with the audio. That was sort of, that wasn't a feature in VO2. And it has a much more stricter prompt adherence. And so like, a lot of customers have leveraged VO3 for a lot of their production use cases. Moving on to Imagen 4. Not sure if you guys have tried the previous version of Imagen, but anytime you had to create like images with text, it would a lot of times create this very hieroglyphic language, which you could not even read. We're like, hey, it was supposed to output English. What is this language? But you're now able to create like really good images that has text with Imagen 4. Comes in a few flavors. Imagen 4 Ultra for higher quality images, and Imagen 4 Ultra for like those with very low latency workloads, right? You also have Lyria 2 for generating music, and am I able to play the music? Don't think I am, but yeah, hold on. Think it goes down. This guy's when let's skip to next slide. No worries. Apologies for the technical difficulties. But yeah, moving on, we do realize that a lot of the conversations right now is about agentic this, agentic that. From a developer platform perspective, we do have the ADK, which the Comet team is actually going to be demoing a very cool use case using ADK for just, deploying and like for creating agents. You have Agent Engine that provides you a runtime for deploying these agents. And then you also have something known as Agent Garden, which is basically like boilerplate code for very common use cases that you can sort of use and then build on top of it, right? Next is a Gemini CLI, basically brings you the power of Gemini to your terminals. Also had a bit of traction on that front where customers are using that to, debug issues, create test cases and stuff like that. And then sort of lastly wrapping it up, to now host your AI applications, what is like the way that a lot of people are doing it? Sometimes, Cloud Run sort of provides a really great platform for hosting these AI applications. You just sort of containerize it and push it. Especially the fact that Cloud Run also supports L4 GPUs. That's something that a lot of our customers have been leveraging. So two common patterns that we are seeing is either your models are available on Vertex, or you've hosted a model on GKE and then you're doing all the orchestration on Cloud Run, or you can sort of host those models on Cloud Run with the help of GPUs, and also have the orchestration within Cloud Run, right? So these are like two model patterns that we've seen. But yeah, that was just a very quick walkthrough of sort of what we have going on at Google right now. Here are some resources. There are GitHub notebooks, there are code labs, there are also Cloud Skill boosts, like courses as well. And yeah, I think I'll also be sharing a QR code for we have the Google for Cloud, Google for Startups program as well. Sort of give out credits, especially if you're building with AI, guys. So I'll try to share that as well. But yeah, thank you.